Well, as you can tell, one of us had very positive feelings about this movie.
Yay!
Hi everybody, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is another post-Geek reaction. It's the videos where we just come in right after we saw something, and it's not really like a review where we sat down or wrote anything out. It's just us having a discussion about the thing that we just watched. We did one of these for the final episode of Gravity Falls, and you guys responded very positively to that. That video got a ton of views, and there is no doubt in my mind that 90% of that is simply because it said Gravity Falls on there, not because you saw a video clip that was just us sitting on a couch and you went, oh yeah, I think I want to hear what these guys have to say. But still, you guys did respond positively to it, so I kind of like the idea of us doing more of these. I'm going to test it out with this video because this is not us doing a review where I sit down and I write out the script and I come up with jokes and I sit down and I search up videos. This is just an honest discussion about how we felt about the thing that we just watched, and it is spoiler filled. This is for anybody who either has already seen this or they want to just skip it completely and they're like, yeah, but I'm gonna hear what you guys have to say anyways. I've done that with several films, so screw it, I understand. But yeah, before we get to talking about Zootopia though, I have to do a little house cleaning. If you guys want to skip all the boring me just talking about this channel stuff, then click on this right here or jump to this time. There you go. All right. I think our hands lined up to be like, the banner's gonna be going diagonally to fit what we were pointing at. But yeah, okay, so I need to talk about this channel for a little bit because you guys might have noticed there was nothing up this week. Which is another reason why I am doing this video right here, because I really wanted to get something out because I have another Thorgy's Theory video coming up tomorrow, fingers crossed, or the day after, and I was like, yeah, there's no way I can record anything else. But the reason why nothing was up this week was because last week we were on vacation in Portland, Oregon. In fact, everything that you saw on this channel last week, I recorded a week ago, so I was going back 3 weeks at this point, because I knew I was going to be out of town. But when we got back, it was like, I do not have time to come up with something on the fly right now. So yeah, I'm sorry that we just didn't have anything this week. Next week, everything gets back to normal. I'm going to have the comic class, I'm going to have game room, and I'm going to have the reviews. I'm finally going to do that Gravity Fall review. As long as a prop that I got in Portland arrives here on time. If any of you follow me on Twitter, you know what the prop is. Do not spoil it in the comments. Also, in regards to these post-Geek reactions where we just talk about the movies, this is not replacing the reviews. The reviews are still going to come out. However, here's the difference between the post-Geek reactions and the reviews. The reviews are only going to be things that you guys request. From this point on, the reviews that go up on Friday, or let's be honest, Saturday, are going to be the things that you request in the comments below. So if something new is coming out, and you want me to do a proper review of it where I sit down and I write out the script and I come up with jokes and all that stuff, then request it in the comment section of any of my reviews or contact me on Twitter and Tumblr at Professor Thorgy. These post-Geek reactions are just simply us coming in going, we want to talk about this thing that we just saw. So it's not really planned out. It is simply on the moment, right after we saw it, when it's fresh in our mind, how we felt about it. So that's the big difference between that. I just wanted to address that because I know somebody might be going, I like the reviews better. I don't want this to replace it. They're not replacing it. All right. This is just a very quick, simple way for me to get out there our thoughts on geeky things because there's just too many things out there for me to make really big videos about. In fact, after we saw this, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do a review on this. Except that I already promised everybody 2 weeks ago I would do the Gravity Falls review, so I gotta do that one first, and then I got the Thorgy's Theory coming up, and then next week I've got, oh wait, yeah, I've got that planned for next week. So, if you want me to review something that is coming up in theaters or on television, or coming out in comics or video games, you have to request it in the comments. I'm not trying to be strict about that, it's just like, okay, I need to establish rules for this channel. So okay, there you go. Also, I have to point something out. This has nothing to do with the channel. This is just simply bogglingly, insanely good timing. We were in Portland because we were getting married there. Surprise, everybody. Yay, we got married. Okay, we arrived back and we found that we had a package waiting for us. It was a package that came from my sister. It was her wedding gift to us. My sister is cuckoo, crazy, fun house, good times.
Yes.
But,
Lots of fun.
so yeah, we were like, all right, what the heck is she going to get us? We get the package, it's super light. We left it here because we had to race out to see this movie. We went out, saw this movie, Zootopia, which is all about walking, talking, living animals. And
I sure hope it's living animals.
yeah, that was weird. I caught myself literally right after I saw it. Right after I said that. I was like, man, I hope nobody noticed I said that. Oh, bam, you noticed. That's another great thing about this and having a co-host. There are so many times when I am editing my videos and I'm like, I totally said the wrong word right there. That's not even close to the correct words.
If the animals weren't living, it'd be Zootopia.
Really hope nobody knows that I said the wrong word. But yeah, okay. So as I was saying, yeah, we didn't have time to open the package. We raced out, we saw the movie. We got back, and I started setting up the lights and the camera and all for this. And Michelle opened up the package, and my sister got us animal kigurumis.
Yeah, she got one for both of us. She got a fox one, which is what I'm wearing, and a red panda one, which is what he wore for a bit, but
for like 5 seconds. For 5 seconds to go there. All right, I did. Because I'm not going to wear that on screen.
Why not? You look cute in it.
If this get, I don't want to establish myself this early on in my channel as the kigurumi dude.
I'm not going to establish myself as the kigurumi girl. I'm just wearing it for this occasion because it's a fox kigurumi, and one of the main characters in Zootopia happens to be a fox.
You're the kigurumi girl. I hate telling you this right now, but that's what you are from here on out.
All right. So is that how it is? You're gonna stereotype me as the kigurumi girl? You expect me to like wear a kigurumi every time we do one of these reviews?
So okay, this is Zootopia. But yeah, okay. All right. So status update, or it's just I had to tell you guys that story because oh my god. She got us freaking animal kigurumis right when I was setting up to do our Zootopia discussion. All right, Jesus. Just the weirdest timing. The weirdest damn timing.
It was meant to be.
Yes, okay. So, all right, let's begin. Zootopia. This movie, and once again, this is spoiler town. We're talking openly, honestly, total spoiler territory. But this movie... God damn, it was so smart.
It was.
I saw the trailers for this, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be this fun, like, buddy cop thing between animals, and they're gonna make jokes about how animals react. This entire movie is about race relations. It's about prejudices. It's about stereotypes. It's about racism, sexism, homophobia, like, pretty much every kind of prejudice that you can think of, it's in this movie, and they're talking about. And there were so many times that I was watching this movie and I kept thinking to myself, oh wow, they're talking about this because it's a reference and a metaphor for this kind of prejudice in real life. And then it would instantly twist and I'd be like, no, now it's about this thing over here. And it's like, this is really about everything.
Yeah, and like, I feel like you can only like do that with an animal movie because, like, I don't know, it's like, if you try to like do it in the human world, it would feel
it'd be real.
No, it would feel too heavy-handed, and you know, like you said, you could only like cover like certain stereotypes at a time, and then.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So it's like with this, they can when they're talking about a cheetah, it's like at one moment it's like, oh man, they're talking about this race, but then like switches on a dime. It's like, no, they're talking about gay people now, and it's like, yeah, wow. I understand. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like they were really able to cover everything with this.
Yeah, exactly. So like, that's like one of the reasons why I thought this was such an interesting and why it works with animals better with people.
Well, also because this is meant to be aimed at kids.
Yeah, that's true too.
Kids would have their minds blown if this was like a real world thing, and it would be way too sad.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, don't get me wrong, kids need to know how the real world works, but sometimes you can deliver a message way better through talking animals than you can through, hey kids, this is how messed up the real world is. That would scar some children if you deliver it to them way too easily, but now, through this, goddamn, there's gonna be some really tolerant kids growing up who watch this movie. And I'm talking about for kids. I'm a 30-year-old man, and I was watching this thing like, oh wow, they are getting really smart with this. Which I will just stop and say right now, I'm a straight white dude. I can't really speak as to how well I think it handled it from a personal standpoint, but from the third party just looking in on this, I was like, that looks like it's handling it pretty damn well. So I would really be interested in hearing from all viewpoints on this film about how well they thought that they addressed it. We should probably cover for anybody who just tuned in and was like, listen, I'm not going to see this thing, but I am interested in hearing what it's about. This is about a rabbit. Judy was her name, right?
Yeah, Judy Hopps.
Yeah, Judy Hopps. She wanted to be a cop. Ever since she was a kid, she wanted to be a cop. And everybody was like, there's no rabbit police officers. None. That's just not a thing that happens. And she trains, she works her butt off, and she becomes the very first ever rabbit police officer. And there's a great scene where she is entering the precinct. Every other animal in there is huge. Like, you've all probably seen that joke in the trailer where she gets the fist bump from the rhino and pushes her, which is a great gag, by the way.
Yes.
It was just as good in the movie. But yeah, it was like, wow, yeah, you really understand how different she is from everyone else there. When everyone else is like an elephant or rhino. What was their police chief? Bogo was a...
bison?
Yeah, like a water buffalo. Played by Idris Elba, by the way. The entire time I was watching this, I was like, who the hell is that? I know that voice, and when it said Idris Elba, I was like, that kind of makes it so much better. Just imagining Idris Elba in that role, because you can totally hear him then. But from there, she starts off as a meter maid, and she runs into this fox named Wild. I remember that's his last name. Nick Wild. And he is a con man. Straight up, he's a con man. He's selling popsicle sticks. That it sounds like, how on earth is that a con? It's this whole big long thing. I won't go into it.
It makes sense with animals.
Yeah. And it's actually really damn smart.
Yes.
But yeah, and so she meets up with him, and he's too smart and too clever for her to be able to catch him. But then he becomes a key witness in the disappearance of these other animals. And all across the city, all these predator-type animals are disappearing, and nobody knows what's happening to them. And he becomes one of the only witnesses, so it becomes this odd couple buddy comedy about the two of them going off trying to discover like what caused all this, where they're all going, and of course, if you've seen any of these types of movies, it's about them slowly coming together.
Yeah, like we should also probably establish that in the world of Zootopia, prey and predator animals live together.
They do,
yes.
Which, by the way, another thing that this makes this all about like a race relations or about a sexuality thing is that they say 10% of the population in Zootopia is predators. And I was like, that's a weird number to put out there. Why 10%? And then all of a sudden, like, it struck me, 10% of the population is black. Oh, that was a smart little statistic that they put in there.
Also in the wild, there are more prey than predators.
Well, yeah,
because,
absolutely. But it's like, they specifically hammer in there 10%. And I was like, why do they keep making sure to say 10%? It's like, oh... Yeah, as I mean, like, you guys were smart with this. But yeah, as I said, this is a classic, like, buddy cop thing, and we've seen buddy cop, the whole buddy odd couple duo thing, it's never gone away.
No.
It's still here, but this is so a throwback to those 80s buddy cop kind of things.
Yeah.
Like, 48 hours. In fact, she specifically has 48 hours to catch this, and I was like, that is definitely a reference to 48. You didn't just pull that number out of nowhere. This is definitely a reference to 48 hours. And also, there's a little bit of, like, Midnight Run in there. Like, that's the one that I was getting the vibe off of. I know that Robert De Niro wasn't a cop in there. He was a bounty hunter, but there definitely was kind of a, like, con man, straight man kind of duo there. I was like, this is Midnight Run. But, yeah, we haven't really seen movies like that since the 80s. I mean, we have had, like, the buddy cops. We've had the odd couple duos. But typically, what we have now... It's like one of them is just a complete idiot. Or one of them is just a complete crazy oddball, Will Ferrell type. Whereas in this one, it's like, no, they're both competent people. And they're competent in these different things that they do.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, I miss that. We haven't really had that in a while.
Yeah, it's like, I was kind of worried about the buddy cop trope at first, but I was like, you could have a classic trope, but have a new twist on it. So I was kind of hoping for something new, and I got what I wanted, so.
It was, yeah. It's There are a lot of times, I will say this, there are a lot of times in here in which I was watching and I was like, I know exactly what's going to happen, and sure enough, I was right. But the stuff that they do with the commentary was so smart and so new, especially for a kid's movie.
Right.
That I was still like, I don't care if I've seen this before. It's still got so many new things in here. And also, even if I've seen the Odd Couple duo, buddy cop, whatever you want to call it, even if I've seen that before, they were still written so well. Because Judy Hopps, like I said, she's competent. And that's the thing that I think so many movies, they underestimate, is the value of competence. Because it's like, oh, well, it's funnier if they don't know what they're doing. It's like, I get the humor in that, I do. But sometimes you just want to sit down and watch someone who's really good at what they do. So you can sit there and be impressed. And Nick Wilde is so good at being a con man that was like, okay, I've seen so many of like I'm a hustler in like kids films, and it's always played down. It's like, yeah, you're not really that smart. This guy is smart. This guy is really good at what he does. And I loved seeing the two of them like kind of going throughout this world of Zootopia, because this city, it's totally a metaphor for New York City. Mm-hmm. Like, she comes from a small farm, moving to the big city. It's like, it's totally New York.
There's even like 5 ecosystems.
14.
Yeah, you know what I mean. There's like even like ecosystems to like represent the boroughs and stuff.
It was like, that's what made me go, this is specifically New York. Because like, there's moments in which it's like, okay, Tundra Town. We gotta go to Tundra Town. It's like, that's Chinatown. I know what you did there. Like, Tundra Town, there's the Rainforest Village,
yes.
And it's like, okay, I know what that's supposed to be, and this is Chinatown, Little Italy, this is the Bronx, Harlem. It's like, these are all the boroughs. These are all the little districts.
Right.
And they talk about them in that same way that if you go back to those old, like, 80s cops films, when New York was still a complete crap hole, and, like, the cops were like, yeah, you gotta be careful when you're in this district, because if you're in there, they act completely differently. Like, they treat the cops completely differently in this area. The rules for handling situations over here are completely different. That's how it was back in the 80s. And here, they're like, yeah, you're going to have to catch people in this city, in this part of the town that's covered in ice. You're going to have to go to this area covered in sand. There is an amazing moment in which it's a chase scene, and they go into Rodentville. And everything's tiny.
Everything is rodent sized.
Yeah, like, she's a bunny. She is very tiny to begin with. And she's the size of buildings that she's chasing down this weasel in there. I was like, that is so damn smart.
It is. Like, that was, like, one thing, like, I always thought was kind of annoyed me about, like, anthropomorphic cartoons.
Yeah.
Like, they would have, like, same size everything for everybody, even though they're, like, teeny tiny mice and they're giant elephants and they had to, like, work their way around it. And I always thought to myself, if this is a world full of animals of all different shapes and sizes, shouldn't their buildings and everything else, be built for them in their sizes and everything? So, like, that was something I really enjoyed about Zootopia. Like,
and the way that they design the city,
yes.
You can look at it and go, I see how this works here. I can see how there is a little tiny, like, mouse person in this same town where a giant elephant is walking around, because they show ways that these characters can get around, ways that they can travel. Like, they've got the hamsters using those little tubes that you have in that you have in a hamster cage, but they use it to like get off the train and go down to their level while the big animals just walk around. It's like, that's really damn smart.
It is.
This honestly it's easily the most well designed, like, animal-related city.
Oh, absolutely, definitely.
But even, like, beyond just the animal thing, this is easily, like, one of the top 10 best animated cities that I've seen anything.
Yes, like, the animation was, like, what really blew my mind, like...
The animation, this is fantastic.
Oh, yeah, like, especially, like, with Flash and all the Sloths in general, like, being able to animate them in such a slow manner.
We've all seen the Sloth stuff in the commercials. We all have. But when you watch it in here, it's even longer and even more stretched out. And I was like, this is amazing timing with this animation.
And just think, like, this is the kind of stuff animators do, but sped up in regular time. So basically they're taking everything that they do and just slow it down And I feel like when you slow things down, you get to appreciate them a lot more.
You have to put way more detail.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping that like with the sloths and everything, that people will start appreciating the effort that goes behind animation more.
But this is one thing, speaking of the sloths, this is something that I want to bring up about the animation, is that so often these days in animation, when we applaud excellent animation, it's very fast-paced. It's very rapid. There's a lot of fluid motion going on. Very, squash and stretch mechanics going on.
Which there is plenty of in this movie also.
There is, but I don't feel like there's as much as there is in a lot of other animated films, because they really do feel way more real in here. You don't see anybody get flattened or anything. Not that you see that in a lot of animated films these days. They aren't that cartoony.
It's not too exaggerated, but exaggerated enough. I think a good example would be when Judy was chasing down that weasel. Mm-hmm. You know how weasels are. They're very slick and they skither around and they're very flexible.
Yeah.
So he was able to wiggle his way around all the corners of that, all around the buildings of that rodent city and everything.
And that made sense for him, but
yes.
When you go with Nick, who is a fox, and his whole thing is that he's very cunning and he's very clever, there's a joke in which he says, oh, look over there, she looks over there, and then she looks back and he's gone. They didn't do a thing in which he, very quickly ran away and, you saw his body, almost, liquid out of there or something, go with a cloud of dust or anything. You turn around, he's still just walking, regular speed, like he does. And it's yeah, that is very realistic. And the reason why I'm bringing up the DMV scene with the sloths is that was the moment in which I realized what is so great about the animation in this is the subtlety that goes into making them all very real. Because when you see the sloths, so many people, when they saw it in the trailers, they were paying attention to the sloths. But when I was watching it there, I was actually paying attention to the other animals there, and they're all so human. There's a moment in which one of them is just slowly stamping a form, and it's a cheetah or something is sitting there, looking at him, and just the look of just.
Yeah, there's this kind of thing, the face palm,
and they're not there like being very exaggerated. They're just like.
Yeah, I feel like the animation emphasizes their animal ways,
it does, but it also makes them very human.
Yeah, makes them believable. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I notice how often Judy's nose twitches so subtly. That's great.
Yes.
But let's get back into the story. Like I said, these two characters, they have to team up to solve this case. And what it is that all these predator class animals are disappearing all across the city. And eventually it's discovered they're disappearing because for some unknown reason, they're reverting back to their primal states. They're actually acting like animals once again. And I gotta say, that was actually kind of scary at moments. It didn't get to become a horror film at some point, but the hopelessness of it really got to me. This thing, when it eventually got to the point in which everybody is discovering these animals and discovering that they have been turning primal, that really was disturbing to me, because it starts off with them trying to track down this otter who was named Emmett. And when they said his name, we both literally turned to each other
and smiled.
Yeah,
it was definitely a reference to Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas,
yes.
Yeah, which I'll admit, I don't think that holds up as well.
No,
it doesn't. But that was one of those things that when I was a kid, it came on TV every Christmas, and it was adorable, and you had to watch it. It didn't quite have the staying power of the Charlie Brown Christmas, which is still around today, but it was one of those other ones that you watched when you were a kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is still really adorable. So I was that is such a good little Easter egg. That's such a great little TV Easter egg.
Yeah, it's even better now that Disney owns the Muppets, so it makes even more sense to have that little Easter egg.
Yeah, there were so many damn Easter eggs in
there.
Yes. So many great ones. There is an amazing line in here, and it was so subtly done that I was how come no one is laughing or even clapping in acknowledgement at that?
No, there were some chuckles.
There was some, the line I'm talking about, but
yes, but
in which Judy goes into Chief Bogo's office, and he's the world is not a happy place where you just sing a magical song that solves all of your problems. So let it go. And I was that was so damn smart. And I was like, did no one else catch that? Like, I almost wanted to stand up and go, what's wrong with you people? But I didn't do that. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, like that's the thing. When they eventually get to that point in which they discover where all these primal animals have been getting taken, it's like an abandoned like mental institution too. Like, it's a creepy ass place.
Yes.
When they find them there and it becomes public knowledge, I thought that was like the end of the movie. Like, I thought that, okay, they discovered the bad guy. The bad guy's gonna get arrested. If they're gonna have some big scene of confrontation, and then from there, all right, cool, everything's solved.
It's like, I thought it was gonna be kind of like that, but it's that at the same time, it's like, so what's gonna happen to all, like, is the feral disease thingy still going to spread?
I figured that they would discover like some secret plan or something that the mayor had, because it was, like I said, this full on spoilers. The mayor, played by J.K. Simmons, is the one who's been kidnapping all these primal animals. However, he's not the one behind it all. He's been kidnapping them because they're all predators, and he's a lion, and he's like, I can't let this get out. That primal animals are reverting back to their native...
Yeah, the predator animals are reverting back to their primal
form.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's really like...
Yes.
I think that was actually really smart of them, because it wasn't like, whoa, this is my evil scheme. It was like, no, this was a politician coming in here going, this is... like, they even use this exact line. It's the wrong thing to do, but for the right reasons. And I was like, that's kind of a gray area. It's like, people should know about this, but when they discover it and they reveal it to everyone, you see what happens. And it's like, it's good that this is revealed, but the ramifications for it are so bad. What ends up happening after is like, wow, this just made everything worse. And I'm not saying which... That is a metaphor for so many things that go on in the government. I'm not trying to get conspiratorial here, but it's like, yeah, we all know that there's some things that we don't know about that's going on in the government, and this is one of those things that made you look at it, it's like, yeah, there's no right or wrong answer to this one. I don't know which was the correct path for them to take on this. And like, once again, that's kind of a smart thing to put in a kids' film.
Yeah, like I was kind of worried that, like, because they haven't yet found the cure for the savageness going around at the moment. When they arrested the mayor and everything, I was like, oh no, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna do the love solves everything bull crap?
I was getting so ticked at that. We'll get into that in just a second. But yeah, there came a moment when it was like, don't do this.
Yes, please
don't do this. But okay, so they find these animals, and like I said, it gets so dark from there. Like, I thought, okay, they found it. Here comes the magic cure. Everything's solved. It's like, no, they did not treat it quite like that at that point. I will get to that in a moment. But at that point, they then, have Judy, who throughout this entire thing, she has been like, no, I'm trying to fight against the stereotypes against rabbits. I'm trying to prove that rabbits are not all like this. I'm trying to, be progressive here and advance the cause of rabbits. And she gets up there and starts talking about these predators, and she then starts saying something. I was like, oh my god, that really made me like kind of not like you there. Like, that was really kind of like prejudiced against the predators. And I was like, why on earth would they have her do that? And I was like, again, because it's a message about relations. It's a message about all these different like prejudices. She did not realize how prejudiced she was against predators until it just kind of slipped out. And I was like, that's how it is with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Most people who are bigots or prejudiced against a group, they don't think they are. But it kind of just comes out and it's there in the back of their mind. I was like, that was so smart how they just brought that up. And after she kind of like reveals that she has this like prejudice in the back of her mind and it kind of slips out, I was like, okay, what's going to happen now? And from there, it just gets so damn dark.
It does.
It really gets dark. Like, you start seeing this entire society collapse. You start seeing, like, predators all around the city are having, like, peace protests, and, like, all the prey characters are coming up and it's like, no, get out here, go back where you came from. And I was like, did they just say that? Oh my god, this is really, really getting, like, real world issues getting put in here.
Yeah, like there's like that one scene where Officer Clawholster was being sent to like
that was good. He was getting sent to evidence because that officer was a cheetah, and he was the guy who welcomed everybody into the police department.
And he was so sweet and so friendly, but because he was a predator and because of the whole savage thing, suddenly people didn't trust him anymore. They didn't feel welcomed, and so they had him removed from the front.
Yeah, they sent him to evidence, which was downstairs in the basement. I was like, damn, that one is really getting to me. And it keeps getting darker. And yeah, we're talking about the message behind it all.
Right.
But even just talking about the whole animal and the primal thing going on, again, that gets really freaky and dark because there's a moment in which Emmett Otter's wife is looking at him running around acting like a real life otter, and she goes, "That's not my husband." I was like, that is creepy as shit. That messed me up.
It's Emmett Otterton, not Otter. But
yeah, we know.
But you guys know what we're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. It's like, yeah, it's like, damn, seeing these animals that you know should be acting like actual human beings, acting like animals, and the other animals reacting to that, that was such an emotional moment. But yeah, here's where my complaints with this film start to come in though. Because it gets to that point of like total bleakness, and Officer Hops leaves, and she goes back home because she's like, I've screwed things up too much here. I don't know how to solve this. I gotta go. And I'll admit, I was on the edge of my seat because I was like, I don't know what the answer to this is. I don't know what they could do to solve all this. I don't know where this answer's coming. There was a brief second there in which I actually thought, are they just going to end this movie right now? Because that would be dark as hell. Oof. But it would kind of be like a really bold message on their part of like, yeah, things in the real world kind of are really screwed up, and it's up to all of you out there to make sure this doesn't happen. We showed you the worst case scenario. Time for you to go out there into the real world and make it not like that. I was like, are they going to do that? Because that'd be bold, but dark as hell for a kid's cartoon. And then she moves back home, and this is the part that just made me go, wait, what the fuck? Like, it made me just look up like, you gotta be kidding me. Because it had been so smart up to that point. And then there's a moment where her, like, kid brothers and sisters are running through this field in their garden, and her dad goes, hey kids, don't run through those things right there, through that particular plant. And then she goes, oh, why? What's wrong with that? I was like, oh yeah, we call that night howlers, which was the like key word that she had been trying to discover what it meant all throughout this case. He goes, yeah, they're called night howlers. One whiff of that and it caused your Uncle Jed, or whatever his name was, Uncle Jed, to go crazy and even bit your mom. And I was like, what? It's like, this came out of nowhere. There was no setup for this at all throughout this movie. Zero. No setup for it. And then it just comes out of nowhere, and like, oh yeah, it's a plant that does the exact thing that you've been trying to solve, and it just happened to be right here on our home where you came back. And I was like, that's the most Deus Ex Machina explanation for this. And like, I seriously was like, this film has been so smart up until now. You gotta be kidding me. No way did you just do that.
Well, how else would you have resolved it?
Written something earlier into the script. That's the thing. I don't know. They set it up so well that I was like, I don't know how you could have solved this. Well, and here's the problem. Neither did they. They clearly didn't know how to fix this. And that's the other thing that really bugged me, is that the way that the thing that's causing this, I was like, okay, this farmer knows that happens. You mean to tell me nobody else out there has any idea what's going on? There's no botanists that work in Zootopia?
Well, that's. I think that was the whole point. Like, oh, you're a rabbit and you grow plants, so stay in the country where you can grow plants. We don't really need that kind of stuff in the city. So I kind of figured that was why.
I can see that, but still, there's no setup for it. Like, it just comes in out of nowhere.
Not entirely. Like, remember the weasel? They thought he stole, like, those rotten onions, but they were actually, like, bulbs for those plants.
That's a very small thing. It's that's a very small clue. Yeah. So, yeah, that I had a huge problem with that. And that actually dropped my opinion of this film down by, like, one notch. I still think it is a damn smart movie. But the resolution of that was like, you gotta be kidding me. But from there, they go on, and they try and solve this case, which, by the way, there's a Breaking Bad reference in here. Now, again, a great geeky reference in this thing. I gotta applaud them for putting that in there. But they go out, they try to solve all this, they find where all the plants are coming from, and then it turns out that the assistant mayor is the one who caused all this, and I gotta admit, that was well done. They did set that up well, but I will admit, I figured that out halfway through this film. Like, I don't know about you, but I figured out that was going to be her halfway through this film. And I know I'm not the only one, because someone sitting like 1 or 2 rows behind us, I heard her turn to the rest of her group and go, I knew it! I knew it! Like, she was so excited that she called it. But I was like, yeah, I figured that one out too. So I don't know if everybody did or not, but it was still, but I will say this though, it made sense for her character.
Yeah.
Even if I was able to call it, it was still a good turn for that character. But this gets to the moment that we were just talking about. This is the other thing that I have to give him credit for, is because it's a prey character and a predator character. Foxes naturally eat rabbits. This whole movie they've been building up that, oh, she doesn't want to trust him because he's a fox. And then, of course, he gets hit by the magic plant that turns him into his wild, savage state. And in that moment, I was like, for the love of God, do not do the, oh, love conquers all thing. Because, yeah, they bonded. They became friends. And it was actually really cool watching them become friends because you bought it. They really did feel like they were growing closer. I gotta applaud them for that. But there is a loving husband and his wife, and he was still fully primal. I was like, if you're about to tell me that the 48 hours they spend together meant so much that he's gonna break out of this primal state, I'm gonna call so much BS on this. Like, I know that that's a Disney trope of the, oh, love conquers all, but I'm going to call so much BS if that's what you do. They didn't.
Yes.
They actually came up with a really clever thing that really spoke to Nick's character. And I was like, and they did set it up too.
I think Nick and Judy, because like both of them are very clever, but like I'm clever on different things, like clever about different things. I'm guessing, like, because I guess the way, like, Judy Hopps is more like book smart because like she knows like all the rules and everything. Well, Nick is more street smart because, you know, like you said, he's a con artist, so he has to know his way around the city. Yeah. So, like, you know, and like you said, they're both competent, and I think that is what really brings the movie together and brings them together. Like, they're both like very smart, but like for, you know, like on different things. Yeah. And so like when they combine like their intelligence, they're able to like figure out a plan and everything. Yeah, exactly. Like, they really came together, and it did speak highly to both of them. But, like I said, with the revelation that's this plant, there was no setup for that at all. There was a tiny thing that could explain where they could find the rest of the plants, but no setup that it's going to be this plant thing. But with the way that they solve Nick turning primal, they set that up so well. They set up the thing that he would use to get out of that situation. They set up why he would have that thing on him. They set up the opportunity and how they could have done the switcheroo. And I'm like, yeah, you set that up incredibly well. I gotta give him credit for that, especially after the Deus Ex Machina that came in. But yeah, so that was, overall, I think this film was fantastic. I do have to take a point off for that Deus Ex Machina coming in. And also, I have no problem with Shakira. I don't. But Shakira plays a deer in here, an antelope. A gazelle.
A gazelle, okay. She plays a gazelle, and she's a pop star. They are trying to shove that song in your face so much. You've heard it in the trailers. You've probably seen her gazelle character performing. She is all over this damn film. And she doesn't play any part in the plot, either, at all. It's just, when they're going into the city, Judy listens to the song on her iPod. When she gets to the police station, there are other people there who are fans. When she enters the city, there's a giant billboard of that gazelle going, "Hi, I'm this character. Welcome to Zootopia." And I was just like, am I supposed to know who this is? It's like, I know who Shakira is, but it's like, are you going to play a part in this plot? Are you the one behind all this? Because you set that up way more than the plant. But yeah, and they keep shoving it in your face so much. And the end of the movie is everyone going to this concert for this character. And I'm fine with that because that's how they had the ending credits come in, because it was one of those things where it showed every character watching it and it showed who played them next to them. But, you know, because that's what most animated films do these days. They have the first credits where it just shows all the characters with their voiceover actors next to it. And then they have the official credits, which starts with, like, cast.
Yeah, like the scrolling credits is what I call them.
Yeah, the scrolling credits. Typically, when it comes to the scrolling credits, the song comes at the very end. Whatever the song credit is comes at the very end. The moment it turns to black, first credit, song by Shakira, this song. It might as well have said, buy it now. And I was like, wow, you guys are really trying to get a new Let It Go. You're really trying to get a new one out there, which is like...
I just feel like Shakira's trying to be popular again.
I feel, well, it took like 3 years to make these movies, so it's like she probably was very popular back then.
I guess.
But that's the thing, is like, you were shoving that in way too much. And it's a good song. I'll admit, it was a pretty damn good song, and Shakira is very talented. And I will admit that I kept hearing people all throughout this, all throughout the trailers and all this, and the lead up to this film, I kept hearing people say, this is going to be the biggest movie for furries out there. I was like, why? Because they're talking animals? What? That final show with her, I was like, it's nothing but giant beefcake tigers with their shirts off and sparkly pants. I was like, oh, that's why everyone's saying, okay, I got it now. No offense to furries at all. If you are, then hey man, go, enjoy yourself.
Like, I'm actually kind of glad that they did the beefcake tigers, because like throughout like most anthropomorphic cartoons and everything, they always like sexualize the female characters.
I know, I was about to say, every single other anthropomorphized animal cartoon out there, the dude is always just an animal.
Yeah,
just an animal. Maybe
like it's really cartoony animal, like big nose and feet and everything.
And the woman is basically, it could be like a dog, and they will have almost no snout at all.
Big boobs.
Big breasts, yeah, it's like, so it was like, alright, giant beefcake tigers, go with it.
Yes, I'm totally fine with that.
I'm sure no one will take that out of context. But yeah, so aside from the Deus Ex Machina and the song just being shoved in your face constantly throughout this thing, yeah, this is a great film. I really applaud it. I think it's incredibly smart too. I cannot drive that home enough. This is a smart film. So yeah, I highly recommend it.
It's like, I'm noticing that like a lot of like cartoons aimed for like younger kids are just starting to become smarter, and that's a good thing. I'm tired of like cartoons like dumbing things down for kids, because they are definitely a lot smarter than we.
The Johnny Test effect.
Yeah, because another like very smart cartoon is Steven Universe.
Goddamn.
Oh yeah, and like that's
Gravity Falls. What we just did last week.
Absolutely, and like, you know, kids love that show, love those shows and everything, and they're also very smart and everything. So yeah, I'm hoping like I'm glad like cartoons are taking this route where like, you know, they're not dumbing things down, and I hope they continue. Although, unfortunately, we will always have that like one cartoon or like one animated feature film where it's just like really stupid and.
Oh, we're going to have one of those? Oh, because with the non-animated films, we have zero. They're all smart. They're all amazing award winners. Adam Sandler didn't make any films last year. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but
Punch Drunk Love was his last movie.
Yeah, but those aren't aimed at kids, and I feel like
okay.
Yeah, so I feel like
it's far more damaging.
Yeah. So I really hate the whole it's for kids, so you can be stupid thing. It's really, don't do that.
And kids can tell.
Yes,
kids can tell.
Oh,
like there's a reason why Smurfs 2 bombed. It's because kids went and saw that first one and they went, "Are you out of your fucking mind? Why are you taking me to this, Dad?" Oh, the second one's coming out? No, stop. Turn the car around. Yeah, kids can tell shit when they see it. They can. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they just don't care, though. But yeah, that's an excellent point, because especially Disney films.
Oh, yes.
Disney films are, God, they're so smart these days. I pointed this out with Big Hero 6, that I didn't even realize it until the second time we saw that movie. That's the only film I can think of, animated film at least, that's about loss from the child's point of view, because that kid goes through all the stages of loss in that thing. And it's a film about an emotional journey of a kid trying to deal with the loss of his brother, and they just found a way to turn it into a superhero film. It's like, you can have your fun, action-packed cake and have your emotional fork to eat it too. And also like Wreck-It Ralph, goddamn.
Oh, yes.
Goddamn. Or, no, the one that I really want to talk about is Monsters, Inc. Not Monsters, Inc.
Monsters University?
Yeah, because everybody's like, Monsters University, that's just going to be a dumb college frat boy thing aimed at kids. Nobody even wants this. Why is this the sequel to Monsters, Inc.? And I kind of admit I went into it thinking that same thing too. But watching that is like, that had one of the smartest messages that I have seen in a kids film in a while, and it's a message that a lot of kids need to hear, because so many kids films, including this one right here, is all about, hey, if you try hard enough, you can be anything you want. And the message in Monsters University was, hey, no matter how hard you try, there's some things that you might just not be able to do because you got the short end of the stick in life, but you know what? That's still okay, because you can still go out there and do something else that's still really great, and you can still do something else tied to that field that you wanted to be in that helps that incredibly. You can be that guy behind the curtain, and sometimes that's just as important. Like, I've never seen a kids film with that message, and that is a message so many kids need. So, yeah, kids films, they're getting so damn smart these days. I still think Inside Out is one of the smartest films of the last decade. So, yeah, kudos to not just Disney, but all animated films, even though every one that we just pulled a reference from was a Disney film. Does DreamWorks have any good messages? Because I kind of got pissed at How to Train Your Dragon 2 when it came to the dad. Because they didn't even pay attention to that.
I guess Kung Fu Panda 3 had a pretty good message.
I agree with you, except it was the exact same message as Kung Fu Panda 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing, and that's...
I like Kung Fu Panda.
Yes.
But that third one, it was like, this is really good if I hadn't already seen those other two. By the way, J.K. Simmons killing it in every single animated animal film he's been in this year. God, he has been so good. He was the mayor in this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's about it.
Well, I just want to point out, like, if they do a Zootopia 2, which I'm hoping because it's really awesome.
I would be shocked if they did.
And yeah, it's doing so well also. There's just like two things I would like to see in the sequels. First off, I'd like to see like more interaction with the other districts.
Yeah, because they mentioned that there were 14 districts, and like, we really only saw like 3 or 4. Yeah, so I can agree with that, yeah.
And another one is more diverse animals, because when they mentioned, when they were in the office and they mentioned, oh, there's 14 mammals missing, and the more I watch this movie, the more I realize all of them are mammals.
I realized this in literally the last 5 minutes of the movie. In the, like, Shakira song first credits, that's when all of a sudden it hit me. They were all mammals in this.
Yeah, so it's like...
Why did you bother mentioning that they were... Like, the reason why Judy Hopps gets into the police is because of a mammal inclusion bill that got put in there. Which, again, that's another metaphor for someone who's like, that's really freaking smart. So it was like, yeah, you got put in there because of the mammal inclusion bill. And it wasn't... Yeah, you're right. It wasn't until, like, the last 5 minutes. I mean... Why was it the mammal inclusion bill when everyone in here is a mammal? It would be like saying the human inclusion bill.
Yeah, so it's totally like I would love to see more reptiles and birds in the next movie. Maybe that will be another like prejudice discrimination thing barrier that they overcome. Yeah. So who knows? I'm really hoping. Yeah, but yeah, I want more diversity in the settings and in the characters.
All I can think of is like if they use like sea life for like disability, and that could be like the next one, because like you could have like creatures that just don't have legs and they're like trying to survive on go around in wheelchairs, and I was like, okay, yeah, that could be a whole other message that you put into the second one.
Or maybe like they will go like underwater and everything, and they're the fish out of water, or you know what I mean. The rabbit off land.
I suddenly like this idea of a sequel far less. Okay, thank you guys very much for watching this. If you want to see more of these post-geek reactions, let me know that down in the comments, because like I said, it's fairly simple, easy way for me to cover way more stuff on this channel. It's not going to become such a big thing that it replaces other shows. The other shows are the way more professional ones, so they're the ones that are going to be my top priority. However, like I said, those ones take so much time, I can't cover all the stuff I want to. So if you'd be okay with me coming in and doing these things to cover certain things, then let me know that in the comments down below. Also, if you saw Zootopia, let me know that in the comments down below and how you felt about it. Because like I said, this is a film that I think will speak very differently to a lot of different people out there. I think it was incredibly smart. I think that it handled a lot of these issues really well. But I understand that I'm saying that from the point of view of the straight white man, not the person that this film is really talking about. So let me know, I want to hear from everybody out there how you felt that it portrayed the real world and issues out there. It feels so weird for me to get so serious about a movie that's about a little tiny bunny and a sly fox. But that's kind of the point. We talked about that earlier on. But okay, let me know. Oh, hey, the garbage truck is coming down the street right now, folks. Good.
Yay.
So time for me to wrap it up. Thank you very much. If you're new to this, check out some of the other videos, the ones that are way more professionally done. Like I said, if you want to request a specific review from us, make sure that you let me know that in the comments of any of the other review shows. Also, Michelle has her own channel. We never really talk about that whenever she's on here because it only has one video up there.
Yeah, we're trying to make more.
We are going to make more. I don't know if you're going to. Yes, that's getting closer. Thank you.
Yes.
But yes, if you want to see more from her, we are going to start making videos for her channel over there. So click on her face to go to that channel. And I thank you guys very much. So come back next time.
Bye.
Bye.